it's Martin Tyler here, working alongside Alan Smith as usual, and welcome to the EA Sports FIFA presentation on Nintendo Switch.
Every September there's the eternal question of which football game is going to be the better buy for fans of the digitised sport. But for the first time in what feels like forever, that's no longer a two-horse race. Sure, if you want to have the top-of-the-line game of footy, then it'll be PES 2018 or FIFA 18 on PlayStation 4, Xbox One or PC. But now there's also FIFA 18 for Nintendo Switch. Can the plucky contender for Nintendo's latest console get close enough to be a worthy contender in its own right? Certainly, the game on Switch is rather handsome, and it's the best that this game has ever looked on a handheld. It's easy to say that it's a step above what has been achieved on PlayStation Vita, that's no question, but also on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, as it manages to hit the heady heights of 1080p 60 while docked, and 720p 60 while in handheld mode, which is the native resolution of the Switch's screen. It's running on the older Ignite engine that was used for FIFA 14 through to FIFA 16 on the current generation consoles, and this is as opposed to the Frostbite engine that was adopted last year for FIFA 17. What this does mean is that in comparison to FIFA 18 on PS4, Xbox One and PC, there is a clear graphical difference. The lighting in particular is dramatically different with the same season and time of day settings. In this instance, it's autumn and around mid-afternoon. This results in an image that's more vibrantly colourful and perhaps less realistic than what the same consoles achieve on PlayStation 4. In the normal run of play, it looks pretty damn good in my opinion, although you do miss out on the detail of pitch degradation from the player's studs digging into the ground. But the most obvious differences are when you get up close and personal via replays, where you can see the dramatically lower level of detail and refinement. Facial animations are practically non-existent here, general player animations are much more wooden, and hands are in rigid open palm forms, which makes all of the cinematics and replays particularly amusing when they try to disguise players and officials shaking hands. There's also this general feeling that the players aren't really attached to the surface, which is made more apparent when a shorter player and a taller player are forced into a particular celebration animation. To a certain extent, this is nitpicking because there was never any chance that the Switch version would be equivalent to the game on PlayStation 4 or Xbox One. It's still mightily impressive for a handheld and very respectable when docked, but some people may find that they've been spoilt by the Frostbite engine versions of this game. The game is remarkably feature complete on Nintendo Switch with practically everything included except for the single player story, which is The Journey Hunter Returns this year. You've got regular career modes, simple local play kickoffs, multiplayer, women's international football even, which was only introduced a couple of years ago, and then you also have a full representation of FIFA Ultimate Team and its range of single and multiplayer modes. This is the first time this has ever appeared on a Nintendo console. You are, however, missing out on the ability to invite friends and play a custom match against them, and as a consequence, Pro Clubs is also nowhere to be seen. What makes up for this is the ease with which you can play with and against other people that are sat right next to you. You have local seasons where you play ad hoc networks multiplayer against someone nearby, each of you with a Switch in hand, but you can also play multiplayer directly on a Switch with a single Joy-Con each, so there's two-player multiplayer with you wherever you go. Yes, in this mode you lose the right analog stick for pulling tricks and some of the finesse options of having two shoulder buttons, but even with a single Joy-Con you do actually have a surprisingly good amount of control over your players. On the whole, the game feels a little bit faster to play and a little twitchier as well, and this is thanks in part to the smaller controls and analog stick on the Joy-Con, but also from what feels like differences in the physics, collisions and animation blending. Sadly, the game can also feel a little bit ropey at times. I've had the game effectively freeze while it waits for the next animation or replay to load in, with players simply standing around and idling for upwards of 10 seconds, and Ultimate Team is also still very dependent on your connection to the other player, with regular stutters and hitches when dealing with the poorer connection. Performance is generally excellent, but I have noticed a little bit of stutter in regular play here and there, though these are incredibly minor at worst. At the end of the day, EA are claiming that this version of FIFA should be considered a counterpart to the versions on PlayStation 4, Xbox One and PC, but I feel that it's perhaps more akin to FIFA 16 or before on those same systems, with EA using that Ignite engine as the basis for which they can add and remove features to the game as necessary. It feels like EA are testing the waters with this release before they decide on how heavily to support the console in future. Certainly it's being held back by the fact that the quite notoriously tricky Frostbite engine has yet to make the leap to Nintendo's console, and we won't see the Journey appear on Switch until EA decide to make that happen. So, while it's not on the same level as FIFA 18 on PS4, Xbox One and PC, and it loses out on some key features as EA target a more handheld experience, FIFA 18 for Nintendo Switch may well be more than good enough to meet your demands. We do hope that EA come back to add features like the friends list, but we also want them to see the return that they need in order to justify investing further in this platform in the next few years. That's all for this video, and hopefully you found it interesting enough to click those like, subscribe and share buttons. You can also catch this and many more written gaming features and news over on TheSixthAxis.com, so hopefully you'll join us again on YouTube and over on the website. Until then, goodbye.
It doesn't matter how it goes in, just that it goes in.
Yeah, it is, and he doesn't normally let you down from 12 yards, certainly didn't there.